and the turtle. Like if that doesn't get you going, I don't know what does. You know,
It's a great way to start your day.
What's up? This is the very first sip. I haven't had one at all this morning. Here we go. I'm about the you're gonna see the fulfillment in real time.
Okay, let's go. Hey ho, let's go.
Hey ho.
Oh, that's a good one. You know what I put in? I put in my coffee this morning? A little pumpkin creamer.
I really was hoping you were going to say Kahlua. Okay, pumpkin creamer. It's that. It is that time. At least you waited till October. Like Starbucks starts that in what, August? They do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I hear that there's some kind of pumpkin frosty at Wendy's. That's atrocious. I don't know if anybody on the chat has had the pumpkin frosty, but it's. I've read a really funny, terrible review of it.
In fairness, they told you it was atrocious just by the name of pumpkin frosty. I don't know what other results you expected from such a product. No, I haven't had it. I don't know. I'm not a pumpkin guy.
You're not a pumpkin guy?
Not really. No, not at all. No, I don't know.
I mean, there's like a anti-pumpkin movement in this country that I don't know. I don't quite understand.
I don't know that I'm opposed to. I don't know that I have a stance on it.
You're not organizing rallies against pumpkin.
No, I'm not punching up against pumpkin. That's not against big pumpkin. No, I have yes, big pumpkin. They're taking over the world. The problem is, I don't believe for 1 second that the pumpkin spice crap movement is actually related to pumpkin whatsoever. If I thought there was even a speck of real pumpkin, of big pumpkin, then I would have a problem. What do we get into here? This is like a weird improv class. Joe's like, just rant about pumpkin. Here we go. Ready? Go live. Boom.
I'm just excited about my pumpkin coffee. It's that's all. That's all. But anyway, a lot's been going on. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I'm excited to hear about it.
You are how much of that coffee have you had this morning? You're going today, man. You're ahead of me.
It's funny. Like so usually I get up in the morning and take a shower. And then to kind of wake me up. I didn't take a shower this morning, and I wonder if that I have more energy. I don't know if that. I always thought a shower like wakes me up.
Yeah,
but maybe I don't know. Maybe it zaps me. I'm not sure.
I'm a power of the shower kind of guy, man. That's on the road, out on tour. That's the ibuprofen in a shower. You're gonna feel way better, man.
And in the morning, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I live with a bunch of people. They take showers at night. Doesn't make any sense to me.
We have struck a chord now. Here we go.
We're 5 minutes into this thing, and we're taking on Big Pumpkin, and we're taking on all those weirdos that take showers at night.
Well, I mean, I did shower last night, but it was because I was painting my room until, after painting and dust, you got to shower. You can't get into bed with that dust all over you.
Yeah, I guess so. On certain occasions, certain things that you're doing.
As a routine, yes, that's psychotic. I agree. I don't know about psychotic. You got to have hot takes though on these shows, is what I've discovered.
These are two really hot takes.
Yeah.
Rum chata, pumpkin spice coffee, and rum chata. Come on, forget about it, Jen. That's awesome.
It's good, right? It's tasty.
Yes, it's all good stuff. But should we switch to snakes? I don't know.
Well, I had one more little tidbit just to tie it all up that I couldn't have planned for. We definitely didn't show prep with the big pumpkin opening, so that wasn't the case. In lieu of a flower bed in a garden, I have a pumpkin patch.
Oh, you do?
Right here at the house, yeah. Little white ones, little. I got piles of them, little white pumpkins, man. Right here.
By accident, or what's happening?
I couldn't have planned it. I've been here 3 days short of 1 month. So yeah,
the first thing you did, you moved in.
I tilled the land.
Put in a pumpkin patch.
Got them. Yeah, no, it was there.
Well, that's fun. I mean, are you going to do anything with them, or are you just going to?
My gut tells me it's the perfect plan for me because I think you literally do nothing with them and they just grow like hell. They just propagate, I think.
Thank goodness. I don't know. I'm not I don't have a green thumb. You know what I'm talking
Look,
about. I'm good at cutting things down in the yard, but
yeah,
not growing them.
if I'm going to garden, it's going to be because I'm hungry and I need food. Like a cosmetic gardener, like flower beds and stuff is not, I appreciate a good one, but it's not for me. And by the way, your pool and landscape is nice. Who does that?
Yeah, I mean, we put those plants in and everything, but we did research about what takes the least amount of work to survive.
Smart.
Yeah,
My man. There you go. Yep.
yeah.
That's why I have ball python. That's why I can have 160 ball pythons, man. They
Is that what you did? You researched what was the least?
no, it just turned out that was it's not. Yeah, they like to be left alone. It's not the mentality of what can I do the least of. That's not the point. But in truth, you don't have to do a whole lot to them.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like you have just
Yeah.
a mountain of information and knowledge, and in about taking care of these animals. So
I mean, I've got it dialed in. It's I actually I tell people when they buy a snake that the hardest part is at the start, getting your temperatures right, getting your setup right, getting the animal comfortable. And then you're good. I mean, once you have that knowledge and ability with and every setting is a little bit different. My humidity is way different here in Minnesota than it was in Florida. The temperatures here in this particular room are different than they were with Taylor up at the farm when they were up there. So, you got to get things dialed in. But once you do, it's pretty straightforward, especially if you only have one or two or five, if really
sure.
one person taking care of 160 anything really requires that they're fairly straightforward, to be honest with you.
Is that why, like, sometimes, like, they're lost in the house? I don't know. I hear stories like people
No,
go,
they're
"Oh,
lost in the house because people didn't pay attention and do their job.
what happened? Where's the
Close
snake?"
things properly. No. I am proud to say I have a 100% success rate of not losing snakes. So, we man, we go down these rabbit holes. So speaking of new snakes, I got Justin from Pressure Pythons. Can you tell us a little bit how you got into ball pythons, DEs, reptiles? Yeah, I will. I don't want to make the whole show about it, and I could. We'll catch that, or let's see. We'll see about that. I definitely have the whole channel though. You can check it out anywhere on the channel here.
I think
I
think it's a great story. I want to get. I think we should talk about that. But I am excited to hear about some of the stuff. Either some of the stuff you have coming up, but some of the things that happened this past weekend. I haven't talked to you since Tinley, huge industry event. And I want to know all about that and some of the things that you got coming up too.
So it's a pretty cool story. And yeah, you actually spoke to me and I ghosted you, not on purpose. I just got distracted and busy. And then it was Tuesday night.
And your explanation wasn't much better than ghosting.
Yeah, you were like, hey, yeah, my explanation is like, I got distracted and
and then I forgot about you.
Yeah, and then I forgot about you.
I got it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought happened.
Yeah, I learned that technique from a long stream of women. Anyway, so all right, here we go. Here's the story. And it was really cool. So the backstory is that it's really difficult to get into Tinley. And I don't say that as like a exclusive hipster, it's cool. You get in if you can. It's just the truth. Like if you go sign up with them now as a ball python breeder, they're going to tell you it's a years-long wait list. And honestly, with any species, it's still a long wait list. So Redline Shipping, who sponsors the Proper Royals live show on Tuesday nights, Robin, who is he's the man, he's the guy behind Redline. He calls me out of the blue. I've been working every angle I could with Chris at BNS Reptilia here in the audience. Chris and I, we cooked up this plan that, hey, if they don't like ball pythons, Chris has like 42 species of snakes. And I said, hey, Chris, can I use your species list? And we'll make an angle of proper royals, BNS Reptilia, bunch of different species on one table, and maybe that'll get us in quicker. And he was into it, and he was going already as a attendee. So, but none of that worked. And then out of the blue, Robin calls. He goes, hey, you want a table? Or you want half a table? I said, yeah, I'll take it. Thank you. He goes, well, it's in the lobby. It's not actually in the show. I said, well, I'll get wherever I can. Then he calls about 3 days before the show, and he says, hey, actually, you can have a whole table. Somebody else that we thought was coming isn't. We were going to give you half a table. You can have a whole table. Okay, cool. It got a little bit weird because then it was like, do I need to pay for the table? I'm in the lobby, but to pay full retail, that seems a little tough. And it only is tough because it's expensive. It's $400 for a table. So it's a steep overhead, steep barrier to entry, right? So can't get in. Biggest breeders in the game, literally. I mean, if everybody in the audience right now made a top 5, every one of those breeders were there at Tinley. So, yeah, I mean, big time business there. It was really great. So I'm set up the first day. I'm out in the lobby. Very high volume of traffic. Everything that we want. High engagement. All of that. Me and Chris are there. We pull it off together. And rightly so, everybody goes, it's great stuff. I'll think about it. I got to check out what's in the show. If your Mount Rushmore is behind those doors, you're not buying from Adam out front.
That makes sense. Yes.
Right.
And initially you would think, oh, that's a great spot because that's going to get all the traffic. It's going to get all the traffic, right? Everybody's got to go past that booth no matter what you're deciding, right? But
right here, right now. And it was next to the bathrooms. Real primo secret, just set up by the bathrooms. Everybody's going to pass you, no purchases. The first day I sold one t-shirt and I had $100 snake that somebody offered me $50 for. And I said, yes, please take it away. That's it,
man. That was Saturday.
Yeah, that was Saturday. And these shows tend to get too, there's obviously a spectrum. I got to find a new word. I feel like that word's getting overused. Anyway, you got people who get there early Saturday and they have a target in mind. They have money in mind. They're the hottest lead of the hot, and they're there and they have a budget and they're going to spend it and they're going to go find what excites them the most. And whichever carnival barker of us can convince them to take, to drop their money at that sweet spot of seeing enough of the show and then deciding that's the animal is going to get the money. Then in the middle, there's people that have some money and they're there for the experience. They're going to hang out both days. They're going to look around. They're going to think of different breeders they want to support, which I'm thankful for. Those are the people that, supporting the community. And then Sunday, there's like the entry level, really the pet owners that might just begin to, at the very far end of the spectrum, is the pet owners that might even just start to dream about breeding.
Okay.
So on Saturday, those high octane buyers, like I said, they know all their heroes are inside that door. They know the animals they've never seen. They can only see there. There were lots of booths. I say lots, 8 or 10 booths with the one example of that animal that exists on this planet. So something so new that only one person has created it And there it is. I mean, it's the what's the suitcase from Pulp Fiction that glow? You know, oh, there it is. There's 10 of those in there. So that's the stage. So $77 the first day. Chris actually did pretty well. I don't want to speak for his sales, but he brought with his other species. People were excited about the northern pine snakes that he bought from Chris. Would that be a genus or a family, Pituophis? That's the the Latin word that I learned this weekend.
Oh,
so,
okay.
All right, I set all that up because all those themes of like, do the hard work, be ready. You know what? Let's take this back to wrestling for a minute. In the indies, you can't call it amateur wrestling because people think that's real wrestling, and pro wrestling is real. But in the indies, the local small town shows of pro wrestling, there's an expression that says you always bring your gear and you always bring your boots to a show. Whether it's WWE comes to town, whether you're on the bill or not, get there early and bring your gear. You never know when they're going to do one of those vignettes where they need like security guards or they need like office personnel that are just going to get beat up and thrown out of the ring. Okay. And you get opportunities when you bring your gear. So, side story, I think I could say their name. They were public about what happened. There's a very great company called Biodude. They specialize in biodynamic display setups and all the equipment and all the various isopods and whatnot that you need to go in there. Biodude shipped 5 pallets of goods. I believe this is my understanding. Don't quote me on all these details. Biodude ships 5 pallets of their goods, their show wares, and only one of them arrives. 80% of their goods don't arrive, and we're talking pallets.
Oh my goodness.
So they have a 6-table end cap.
Wait, let me ask you. Where are they located? Biodude. Is that what it is? Biodude?
Biodude.
Okay.
Where are
they located?
In the show, front and center, with actually like a little like milling around area. Tinley is famous for you not being able to get through it. The rows are packed. Like you literally shoulder to shoulder in the aisles. You could probably stand 4 people across, but you get 10,000 people in this room.
And where's Biodude coming from? That's what I mean. Are they coming from? Where are they located?
Don't know.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they only have
far enough they couldn't drive to their show to replenish, or to their shop to replenish, or whatever, or warehouse.
So they ship 5 pallets and they only get 1. Okay.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
Yep, they only get 1. Shannon asked, "What was your valuation? The show spoke to the state of the market." Yeah, we're going to tie that in a little bit. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing yet. We will discuss that. And they're right inside the entrance on an end cap, and there's 6 tables.
Gotcha. Okay.
Boom. Biodude from Texas. Okay. And anyway, Robin comes to me from Redline and he goes, "Hey, we've got all of Biodude's tables if we want to move inside tomorrow. Are you up for that?" Yes, please. I am up for that. I'm ready to go. I can do this. So Chris and I move inside. Chris had extra swag, dry goods. I had extra dry goods, t-shirts. We spread our displays out, got our table covers and just our extra stuff, our extra gear. And day 2 was very good for me. And I think Chris had a solid day 2, but he was a little bit lower on inventory. And again, I'll just leave it there. I don't want to share other people's business and revenue and finances and that stuff. But Chris had, I would think Chris had a solid weekend if I were doing what he did. So the second day for me, I'll be completely transparent. The second day for me, I did $1,300 with the move.
All right.
And partially to Shannon's point, what I found moving at Tinley, granddaddy of the shows, right up there with Daytona, was that what was moving for me that day was the 200 to, I think the most expensive snake I sold, not in a pre-sale situation, maybe 350. So, you know, you got to move at 200 to 350, you got to move 6, 8, 10 snakes to really get into any kind of significant money.
Yeah.
So, but for me, so my goals were, and then here comes the outcome of it. At Tinley, the idea, it's almost a table at Tinley is almost like real estate. Once you have it, it's yours to have first, right of first refusal to.
Okay.
So you go pay for your next table. So what do I do? Because I did pay for that table and I got charged for it. Okay. I went to the guys and I said, hey, where does this leave me? I know Robin kind of hooked me up. On the other hand, I did pay you. You guys, you know, you took my, that sounds negative if I say you took my money. We did honest business. Where does that leave me in my situation? And I was told, well, take this sheet, fill it out. We'll see what we could do for you. That don't feel so hot. Okay. I did pay. I paid good money. Okay. So I fill it out.
Wait, what you're looking for is, where are you going to be positioned? Are you going to have a table for next year?
Yeah. Am I going to have a table? And not next year in March. We do it twice. So yes, next year,
okay.
But March is the next one. So yes, am I going to have a table? And B, perhaps where could it be? I know I don't have Biodude's table. I know Redline was kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, again, like I say, I paid full price. Do I get full experience? Right. So
yeah,
I said, okay. I fill it out. I get with Chris again. I'm like, hey, Chris, I need a bunch of Latin names of other species not called ball pythons. So Chris and I make a deal that, hey, you know, we'll do it again together. If we can, who knows what March looks like, but if I can, we'll be there. And Joe, here's the extent of how valuable those tables are. There were a lot of breeders walking around to people just offering to buy their space from them at X time markup. Hey, if you're not going to be here, I'll buy it. Hey, you want to sell this? Hey, you got 2 tables. Would you sell me one? And we split the space. It's literally that, legitimately in that high demand.
Okay.
So we fill out the paper. I go back and I don't want to name names. There's two guys, Bob and Brian, that run the show. It's their show. Talk to one of them again. Hey, here's my paperwork. And he says, you want to pay now? You want to pay in March? You want to pay with a check? You want to pay with credit card? Ooh, take my money. We got a deal, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Didn't ask questions. Boom. Threw my card down immediately. Got it charged. Got the receipt. Okay. Receipts in hand. Cool. So what does that mean for me next in March? And in truth, he says very kindly and graciously, he says, well, I could guarantee you the exact same lobby table. If I can get you inside, I will. Just stay in touch with me.
Okay, cool.
That's fair, right? I mean, and Joe, when I say it's packed, like there were tables that were not at right angles that were jutting out into, clearly they were like, we just put a table somewhere. Like,
right, yeah.
So however that's going to work out, but it's there. So my goals at the show were to be profitable, which I was, get a table for the future. So, invest in my future, build the future, and then secure some good business behind the scenes. And so I checked the first 2 boxes. And if anybody saw the Tuesday night show, Taylor and I have started a rodent a project, or Taylor had one going. I've partnered with him and we're growing it. and we were looking for some business on that end, but I also had a potential conflict with my other sponsor, Cold Blooded Cafe, from Tuesday nights. And so I had a really good meeting with Cold Blooded Cafe about what our future will look like. We got closer to what that answer is. I had a creative proposal that they weren't quite ready, or they didn't quite know was coming their way in the midst of the busy show. And I threw that at them, and they said, you know what, let's continue that conversation, because there's lots of ins and outs to what you're proposing. But we left that conversation. I can share this with Cold Blooded Cafe, saying, keep doing what you're doing. We want to be part of this. We want you to be part of our brand, and we'll get in touch when we get home. So I sent them that. Yeah. Like how, okay. So there's my do good business behind the scenes, be profitable, get my table, do good business behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good. The only thing that didn't happen was a massive influx of cash flow, which you would hope from a show sometime, especially the show the caliber of Tinley. And that all goes back to, it's hard work. It's not, it's still a job. It's still a grind. It's still, still a better weekend than running a restaurant. I'll tell you that much. So
that's good.
So it's good. Yeah. Ken says, hey, you got your foot in the door. Yeah. I mean, that not even at least, that's a big victory, right? Like if all of us in the audience or in the industry could say, hey, 3 weeks ago, you went from nothing to do with Tinley to all three of those boxes you just checked, would you be happy? Yeah. Oh, we'd be thrilled. We'd be screaming it to the internet, to the world right now. So it was very, very, very good experience. I just have to look at the big picture. And again, like any business, manage cash flow, invest in the future, look to the future, do the right things now for the future. So,
right. Yeah. So let me ask you this, because your approach is interesting. I mean, when you go to a show, you said you had a goal, and it was 3-pronged, and you basically met all three of them except for the influx of cash.
Right. Influx of cash, and I didn't walk away with like a year-long purchase agreement from X, Y, or Z, so I got a few things up in the air. Yeah. Didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
Do you set goals like that? Like, what is you set goals like, and what's your method of setting goals, and how do you gauge how to set goals in the industry?
Yeah, that's a big question. I got to say, hello to Gecko Man. And I lose track of everybody's like actual name. Gecko Man filmed at the booth. Go check out Gecko Man on YouTube. He was really kind enough to do a great kind of quick 90-second boom filming in and out. I did. There we go. I met the Gecko Man and his wife. Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. It was wonderful to meet Lindsay in person as well. It's really great because I see people and I'm like, oh, who's that? And then they're like, again, they introduce their like actual name and their handle name. I'm like, oh, that's why I know you. Okay. But Joe,
I don't want to gloss over Lindsay's comment either, because it is. I mean, think about how long you've been in the area as well, and how quickly you're making connections, and how fast things are moving. And they probably don't feel fast, because you want to be successful right away, have as much success as you've had before in a different market,
right?
But I mean, come on, this is the strides that you have made since just being there for what, a month? How long have you been there? A month?
The 15th will be a month. Yeah.
I mean,
thank you.
It is incredible. It is good.
I appreciate it. I need to hear that too, because it's tough when the market slows down. And hang on, you asked me a question about goals, so thank you on that. On the goals, I don't know how I create the goals. Part of it is looking at the business, looking at, am I profitable, which I am this year, thankfully, finally. Am I profitable? What does it take to stay profitable? What's my overhead for the show?
Mm-hmm.
What's good for 3 to 6 months out, and what's good for 2 to 3 years out? And those are kind of the wheels that are always spinning. But I do almost always have goals when I go to shows. And honestly, when I wake up, I mean, I'm a really big checklist kind of person. So goals keep me focused, and goals keep me grounded in reality. Sometimes you got to look yourself in the face, and if you're missing goals, you got to ask why. So that's the difference between business and hobby, or one of the definitions for me. It's great. And I'm not down, please, for Pete's sake, I'm not downing anybody that's a hobbyist. But it's different when you're a hobbyist and you go, sales weren't that great. This month it was $300 out of pocket rather than 300 in the pocket. Well, when it's a hobby, that's okay. That's like the definition of a hobby. It's fun stuff. It's fulfilling.
Yeah.
You do it for other reasons. It brings you joy. Those are valid reasons. When I'm doing it in lieu of getting ready and putting on a suit this morning, then it's a little bit more serious, and I gotta have really, really focused, really focused goals. So, all right, the magic. Go ahead.
And you make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
That's right. You can't just feel good. You got to have metrics. You got to have it's got to be what's the word?
Smart goals.
Smart goals. I like smart goals. We'll leave it there.
Smart goals. It's an acronym in business.
You got to have
specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
Oh, I like that. I had not heard that before.
Oh, okay. All right.
That might even go like on the wall. Like, that's good. That's good to remember. I like that because to that point, it's got to have the focus, and it's okay if you miss goals. You got to acknowledge that you missed them and ask yourself why. Was it important to make as a goal? And if it was, you missed it. What are you going to do to make it? How are you going to rebound?
Well, it's like, and the way that you're thinking about them. What's your immediate goal for the weekend? What's your 2 to 3 month? Now that's a tiered approach that I think is great, and I think it really serves you well because you can see how you're thinking play out and how your business goes. How I'm observing your business is that you have, this is what I need to do this week. What am I doing this week to benefit me 2 or 3 months down the road? What am I also doing this week to benefit me 2 years from now? Which is really exactly what you did.
That's what I tried to do.
If you think of the 3 things, what you did was you made sure that you were there, you sold. That was your immediate one. And then number 2 was, am I going to get back at Tinley? Let's make sure that I'm going to be here next time in 6 months. And then you also had this talk, which I don't know if you talked about it on Tuesday. That conversation was a crucial conversation for you to have with Creative Cafe, right?
Cold-Blooded Cafe, yeah. And
Cold-Blooded Cafe.
Yeah, and we didn't get anything final from it other than a handshake. We're going to keep at it and keep figuring it out. So great. That's how these things go. Steven at Leviathan Snakes, he made a really, like, I pick his brain a lot. We had a conversation one time just in general. And I said to him, man, I made this really, really great business pitch. I made this marketing business pitch that was fantastic. And I was like, I'm just getting like weird crickets. This is not Cold-Blooded related, just a generally vague conversation. Mm-hmm. And Steven said, well, maybe they weren't ready to receive it at that moment. And I was like, what's this hippie nonsense? Ready to receive? I don't need you to like, it's a good pitch. You're always ready for good business. And Steven said, well, paraphrasing, correct me if I'm miscommunicating here, Steven. Steven said, Adam, what if you were in Walmart and you're walking out of Walmart and somebody goes, hey, that's a nice Tacoma that you got. but here's a better truck. It's better fuel mileage. It's going to serve your needs better. And today, this brand new one can be yours for $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great pitch. It suits my needs. If I'm buying beer at Walmart, I'm not ready to receive that pitch, and I don't have $25,000 in my pocket to make it happen.
Right,
it checks
yeah.
all the boxes,
yeah.
but there's literally no way that deal is going to go down right there.
Yeah,
and maybe I was the guy in the Walmart parking lot making that pitch.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remembered that conversation on my, and admittedly, I'd come up with a new pitch for Cold Blooded that I was going to present at Tinley. When there's 7 people deep at their booth and slinging, you know, that's not the time that they need the parking lot pitch. So I eased into it. I said, here's the framework. Can I email it to you? Do you feel good about these discussions? And should I carry on advertising?
Yeah, it's like
it's going to take time.
It's like getting a telemarketing call. I mean, maybe I do need a new car warranty.
Maybe you could,
but I don't want to talk about it right now. You know,
right? Not right now. I don't. Okay,
in the middle of something.
Let's get to the big payoff. What was my perception? This is one man's perception. What was my perception of the market? The conclusion is not to draw that only pet grade snakes are selling. My pet grade / entry breeder, early breeder, about to start breeding or second year of breeding level ingredient of snakes sold really, really well. That's sort of my sweet spot. To Steven's point, monsoons were selling, sunsets were selling. For Joe, for context, monsoon, I don't know, what do monsoons go for, guys? 10 grand, 8 grand? Like they're big. Oh yeah, Justin sold a sunset clown, probably a $20,000 animal right there. So part of it was my own inventory. So for example, there were people that were saying, hey, you don't have many clowns on the clown is another, Joe, these are all morphs. Clowns on the table. Well, clowns are hot. All my clowns sold before I could get to Tinley. I didn't have any inventory of them. I got clowns in the incubator. I got clowns that just arrived from my clutches in Florida. I have clowns now. I didn't have them then. So it wasn't, part of it was what I had to offer that was moving, but the Sunday sales were good. Everybody's going to laugh. I sold a ton of bananas. Everybody laughs at banana. Adam, why you still work with bananas? I work with bananas because they got me profitable at Tinley. They still got me profitable. So let me get real specific. I can't name names. I won't name names. Big breeders doing great stuff. I heard everything from, I literally sold nothing, didn't sell anything. That was one breeder that he's great. And his snakes probably average between, I don't know, certainly north of 1,000. So that there was him. There was another breeder that I talked to who is a good friend. He's probably prone to a little bit of exaggeration on the other end. On the other hand, I could tell you one time he told me he was having a slow January midway through because he'd only done 20 grand in January in revenue. So calculate that out. We're talking $500,000 to $1 million gross a year that he's used to doing. He said he did 3,000 at this Tinley, and in March he did 40,000 in revenue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
but that, I mean, that's really difficult then to gauge how profitable these shows are going to be.
It's very difficult. It's highly competitive. It's highly, these national shows are highly brand driven. Joe, I think I told you the story one time. There's a guy named Justin Kabilka. So much so, he's like Prince. You say, all you got to do is say Justin, and we know who you're talking about.
I know who Justin Kabilka is.
That's right. Justin was vending this show. Justin doesn't, he sends his people usually. He doesn't vend usually.
Okay.
Justin was vending. So, so the high end is moving, but what I saw in that room was you had to have some brand differentiation. I saw that guy that I was saying sold 0 and his average snake is north of 1,000. That guy is incredibly talented, has incredible quality of snakes. What are you going to do when Justin's 2 booths down from you, though? You know,
Gotcha.
so
Yeah.
it's not just me. How do I differentiate? It's everybody. How do you differentiate? So, you know, Bob was busy. I don't know. I didn't hear any numbers from Bob. I talked to a breeder yesterday, who, and I feel like I'm like Schefter on ESPN. Yeah, my sources. These are trustworthy sources. I swear it. I talked to a breeder yesterday who in March was in that $20,000 to $30,000 caliber revenue amount. He said he was actually went to Tinley this time with the expectation to do 5,000 to 7,000, and he would have been pleased. It would cover the cost, get some cash flow in the bank. I mean, really, if we all buckle down our lives, we could live for quite a while on, you know, $4,000 to $8,000. That's not chump change. That'll get you through a couple mortgage payments and trips to the grocery store, right? So he was saying, you know, 5 to 8 grand. He said he ended up doing 12 grand. So he actually did better than he expected.
Oh, okay.
Now he did have a mix, and I'm just going to be vague because people will know exactly who I'm talking about if I say. He has a mix of really high-end snakes and a certain dry good that do really well for him and that he's kind of known for. So he had to, you know, kind of hedge it. I wouldn't say hedges. He had things to offset a challenging market, which is smart, I think. And that's what I've tried to do with the rodent project. So that's kind of a feel of it. Some of, how do I put it? Some of the vendors that I would consider big vendors that it was still their first time at Tinley that are maybe new in the market. I think they still had a little bit of a tougher time than people who had been at Tinley often. So there's still something to getting known in a market, establishing yourself in a market, doing those shows like I talk about kind of thing. So that's sort of my feel. Does that help, guys? That's what I'm seeing. I'm trying to be vague to protect people, but snakes were selling. I think it was just people a little bit more pinpoint. People were coming in with targets that they wanted to buy from. And I did see prices dropping. I mean, the prices that were out there were, I mean, short of just those once in a lifetime or once on the planet kind of caliber snakes, or you could buy one of, you know, maybe 5 that are on this earth. Below that, prices are valuable. Go get them. Like if you're not getting out, you should be growing bigger right now is all I could say. Like I see, unfortunately, people dropping like flies right now. If you're not dropping, go buy.
Okay. I wonder, is the March Tinley better than the October Tinley, or is the October Tinley better? I wonder, like, if you were to, and I don't know how you get this metric, but if you were to look at the Tinley in October and the Tinley in March, what are the overall sales? And if that makes a difference, I don't even know if that's anybody's keeping track of that.
Yeah. The word I was trying to think of earlier was quantifiable. When we were talking about goals,
Okay.
I can't quantify my answer other than October is known as the big one. Okay. March is still Tinley. March is still amazing. It's number 2 behind October. Okay. This year, I would venture to bet, from what I'm hearing, March was the big one this year.
Okay. Gotcha.
But as far as perception and excitement and who attends, I suspect in Chicago it has something to do with weather too. I think we're more likely in early October to have good weather than mid-March. I think you're still maybe in the throes of winter. I'm not sure. But the perception is that oh yeah, let's talk about this. The perception is that October is better. Yeah, I saw one big breeder who had everything 50% off. I would venture to wager, and I don't bet much, but I would wager $3, and I know exactly who he's talking about. In my opinion, that is a game that breeder plays. If you look at that breeder's selection on Morph Market, his snakes are listed at double the market price, and then he posts up 25, 50% off sign. His whole booth was a 50% off sign. I think I've talked about it on the Tuesday night show. It's one way to go about stuff. To me, it's the furniture going out of business sale model that, hey guys, 3 times a year, we need to do our semi-annual going out of business sale. It attracts attention. We're talking about it. That guy moves snakes. He's an icon. He knows what he's doing. He's just playing the market in his own way. So I did. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's just interesting to look at this, and it's a buyer's market. It sounds like real estate. So
it's very competitive. It's a Wild West, and it's really, in one way it's vast, but in another way it's a very small pool of buyers. So how you attract them, how you build your community, I would say that guy probably doesn't do much community building, but he probably literally sells, I don't know, what do you guys think? 20,000 snakes a year. Yeah. And Reptile Bros brings up a good point. The economy is tough right now. And the other part, I think it's not so much that it's tough, it's that it's unpredictable. We have these we talk about metrics and quantifiable statements. We have these weird things going on. Unemployment is at an all-time low. Wages relative to the past 5 years are incredibly high. We have inflation going on that seems to be cooling, though. We have an election coming up that's going to be highly contentious. I'm not going to get into Biden this, Trump that. That's not you guys don't come here for that. Please. Yeah, let's all take a break from that for 1 hour every Thursday morning. I'm saying the quantifiable metrics are just bizarre. There's nothing predictable. And when things are unpredictable, people get concerned. It was a tough September in the stock market, but overall the past year and a half has been great. And then this past week in the stock market has boomed. If you owned an S&P index fund, you had a really great week last week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you why. I don't know why. I can't figure out why. I didn't see a new consumer price index come out. Interest rates are ridiculously high. You can't buy a house right now unless you're buying cash.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird. Usually it would be. You wouldn't have all these things at all-time highs. You wouldn't have employment, wages, and interest rates at all-time highs. It's really bizarre. So I think the unpredictability of it is plays into it as well. But to Reptile Bro's point, where he said that's every market right now, that is right. We're not owed an easy pass. No restaurant gets an easy pass. There's boom times and there's tough times. And that's why those short, middle, and long-term goals are important. And that's why I think, this is me, I think it's important to diversify. Those people that bought inexpensive, and when I say inexpensive, I still got somebody to give me $500 for 2 snakes that intrinsically have no more or less value than any other snake in that room. They're all ball pythons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we attach these values that we put in our mind. We tell ourselves they're scarce or they take longer to breed and make. And recessives do technically quantifiably take longer to make. Mm-hmm. However, there's a whole room full of them. The dollars didn't cost more. They don't eat gold dusted rats, you know, so the upkeep doesn't cost more. You know, there's a free for all on value that I can't contest. Like, I could tell you why I have to price a burger the way that I want to. Snakes, we're you know, it's the value. It's true capitalism. It's the value of what somebody will give me for that snake, and do I want to accept that valuation?
Yeah.
Boom. And I think we forget sometimes, you know, we can laugh at bananas and pet grade stuff. How hard have we worked in our lives for $500? I have worked incredibly hard in my life for $500. I will still take slinging bananas at Tinley over most of the jobs I've ever done, for that, you know, for that $500. So it's out there. It's a grind. It's hard work. It's not all glamorous. We're not jet setting like people were doing 2 years ago. Like any market, I think it'll come around. Like the United States economy, it always comes around. The stock market averages through the Great Depression, through all the depressions, recessions, all the horror stories you've ever heard over the past 100+ years. It still averages over 8% a year, and the S&P averages over 10% a year. Stick with it, see through it. That's my take anyway.
I was thinking as you were talking, so you sell to a particular community that is already on board with owning reptiles or owning ball pythons, right? So I was talking with somebody this past week that is a solar salesperson, right? So they sell solar.
Yeah.
But oftentimes they go to people who are not already on board with solar. Like they'll just stop in somebody's house and say,
right.
"Hey," so there's two sales that they have to make. First, they have to sell the person on solar on the idea of having solar in their house.
Yeah.
And then they have to then they have to sell them on, now you've been sold on solar. Now I have to sell you on my company. My company's the best solar company, right?
Right.
So at these shows, what you have is a captive audience who are already sold on reptiles, right?
Well, hang on to that point. And this is a good differentiating factor here. At Tinley, yes. At the local, well, I'll just use Davenport because it's the only local one. Davenport is not. Right. Davenport can be, I always say mom, but it could be a dad too. It could be a parent with 3 kids that don't know what they're going to do Sunday afternoon. Okay. And for, hey, $10 and kids get in free.
Yeah. I've done that with the kids when they were young. I went to a local snake show, and and because it was fun, just like walking around.
Right. And so that at that show, it's the solar model you're talking about. Hey, what species is that? That's ball python. Oh, what's that species? That's ball python. Wait, they look nothing alike. Yeah, I know. They're amazing. And then you go into that, okay, let me explain this to you kind of thing.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, so are there other, like what Phil says? Yes, I like this line of thinking, get out there to other communities. What are like communities that are not necessarily on board with having reptiles or owning reptiles, breeding reptiles, but they're a parallel thing where you could go, okay, well, you do this, so it's just the step to the right, and then you could. So I wonder if what are the other communities that maybe the reptile community is kind of similar to, and then but they're not communicating, so they're not selling to each other.
Yeah, the easy answer for me on that, I don't know if it was an easy answer, I guess we'd all be rich, but the easy first target for me is pet owners. It's and yeah, Phil nailed it right there. I think Phil is a very smart guy. It's pet owners, and more specifically, I think the easy answer is fish. Fish are actually very complicated and very difficult to keep.
Oh, interesting.
So good fish owners that can dial in, and I say this because out of my own experience, I owned 250 gallons of cichlid tanks at one point recently in my life. And those things take over your life, man. They are a nightmare to keep. Their pH balances, water changes, and these fish are jerks. They kill each other. You have to keep them balanced in harems. You got to have certain fish capacity per gallons. And they're beautiful and amazing. And it was a fun obsession until it wasn't. And one day I was like,
That's interesting. That's so. Yeah. How do you? So obviously you personally have that sensibility to take care of fish, or to take care of animals, right?
Yeah.
But you get to a point with fish where it's like, this isn't fun anymore. So how do you find the people who are getting out of fish? So because it's not that big of a sale, then it's not that big. It's so like I was talking with this, we were brainstorming with this one solar person, Sundog Serpents. It's hard to sell to convince people that they need solar. Oh, so what are the adjacent areas? So we were thinking like, okay, so who's sold on solar that just doesn't have it in their house? Like, I don't know. Can you set up in a health food store or something like that? Brainstorming those types of things.
Yeah. So to your point, and this was kind of neat. This was sort of a nothing came of it, but this was sort of a validation. So I immediately reached out to the local pet stores here. Hey, do you need reptiles? Do you need rodents? Could I sell you wholesale snakes? That sort of thing. And it was actually really funny because I think the chain is called like Chuck and Don's or Sam and Don's or Sam and Chuck's. I don't know. I didn't know it was a chain. I walked right in confident. Yeah. Can I speak to Chuck or Don? They laughed right at me. They've got like 38 stores in the Midwest. I had no idea this was a chain of stores. They're like, no, you cannot talk to Chuck or Don. How can I help you? And it's just confident and oblivious,
That's awesome. I love that.
Get right in there. With the idea being,
like calling McDonald's. Is Ronald there? Can I talk to Ronald?
I need to talk to Ronald, please. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. But the idea was going to be, maybe I could have a wholesale outlet. Maybe they need feeders. And the other thing is, hey, what if once a month I can set up my own booth in your store if you don't have reptiles? And it's basically my own show. I'm meeting my own community in my own backyard. I can build this from the ground up here. And maybe that's how I'll reach a fish owner or, like you say, those adjacent reptile curious sort of things,
Yeah.
And what they told me was, well, no, we're a pet supply store. We don't sell any animals. Okay, well, what about food supplies? Rodents. Oh, we don't sell live. We don't believe in feeding a live animal to another live animal. We can't sell those. Okay. Then the lady says, well, do you have a card? I'll take it. And, I can refer people to you. That sounds nice. That's what everybody says. And what happens? The card goes in the trash can, right? Saturday night, I'm at Tinley and I get a call from Minnesota. Hey, my name's so-and-so. Ashley at Chuck and Don's said you were the guy to call in town for reptiles.
Yeah.
Whoa, it worked, So that's how I start. And I know we're getting into overtime here. There's another guy named
look at that.
There's another guy named Daytona. His name is not Daytona. His name is Diego. I guess I'm tired. I'm not quite awake yet. Need the second cup of coffee. He has a channel called Petsotics that's primarily a fish channel. And he does crossover episodes of reptiles and fish and vice versa. He's playing the game the other way. Hey, all these reptile people, they're going to be into fish kind of deal. Chris at a company called Epic Styles LLC, he does a lot of specific outreach, going to schools, libraries, doing reptile shows where kids can come touch and meet and all of that. There's a business model out there where you can hire a breeder like myself to do your birthday party. And as part of the fee, you get to choose which ball python you're going to own. So not only do they do the party, now there's a new pet owner that's going to be in touch with you that you're going to cultivate their obsession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm not familiar with the RC groups, although I could see the technical sides overlapping. Plants, I'm seeing a ton of plant sellers at our reptile shows doing well, like moving plants. And actually one of my good buddies and mentor, Dale at Constricted Reptiles, that's how he started. He sold sago palms and like as a kid, and went to Daytona one year and was like, wow, I think I want to buy a ball python. Went and sold, you know, that afternoon, sold a bunch of sago palms and took his money and went to Daytona and bought 3 females to start breeding. So there is that overlap, Joe. You're very strongly onto something that we all should have a mission to go figure out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think even, I mean, you're really good at that. You're really good at that, as thinking about within the industry, what are all the things that breeders need or owners need, and thinking through like all of the different things and then figuring out a good solution for them. I think of your cups and selling the cups, you know. So there's that, but then it's almost like thinking about adjacent communities,
Right.
not the things that are already there. Like I like the plant idea, but the plant, they're already there. What are the adjacent communities? What I mean, and that could be a new market that opens up, and it's more about selling the idea of reptiles as opposed to actually selling a reptile. You know?
Yeah. The idea of reptiles is important to sell, and I think that that's a big task for any one person, and it is a good long-term macro plan that is important. Day to day, on the other hand, I don't necessarily know that I can wake up today and go, how can I go evangelize this today?
Well,
and that's tough.
I mean, we're kind of doing it right
we
now.
Are, yeah. Well, okay. So, all right. Thank you. So, yeah, that's the flip side of it. Joe, what the hell more do you want from me, man? I'm trying here. I'm trying.
No, you just have to sell Chelsea on it. You got to sell Raleigh and Aiden.
Well, and that's where, so I have a good friend, and most people in the audience will know Jessica at Holdback Rack podcast. She, not even tongue in cheek, she blatantly says, hey man, this is multi-level marketing at its finest. You got to get your people in, you better keep them in, you better build the pyramid, man. That's how you're going to get, that's how you're going to get up. And yeah, that's a fun idea. That would be cool.
That's what I'm talking about.
That'd be cool to hang out in the evening at a tattoo shop. And
who is Sun Dog Serpents?
That's Sarah and Josh. You know Sarah very well. You hung out
yes.
With in Daytona.
Sarah and Josh. Awesome. Yeah. Yes. Great ideas.
Yep.
That's a terrific idea.
So that is,
but I don't know if it takes the shape of that. I don't know if it's setting up a reptile booth, but connecting with that, I mean, that adjacent kind of community.
Well, so, all right, let's finish on this. So conceptually, philosophically, what's fun about reptiles? It's a little bit underground. It's a little bit counterculture. It's a little bit of freak out the man. That's tattoos. That's punk rock. Like if I could set up at a Vans Warped Tour, not that would be the day to make sales, but and Vans Warped Tour doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, how do you tie in those conceptual, philosophical things that people hold dear to them, and and show them, hey, here's an adjacent community you're going to do great in as well, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that. And so that's cool. Yeah. Maybe I do need to go figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, at the end of the day, we all feel like we're sort of a part of this edgy thing that's our thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we got curious people like Joe. We need to get you a snake, Joe. Have you considered the need for a snake in your life, Joe?
I'm one of those people that believes in solar and hasn't put it on their house yet. So, and I don't know if I ever will.
I could tell you I have a whole rant on solar. I believe in it and I have it now. It's an industry that is not, it's still pretty new, and it is not a unified industry is what I'm finding. There's a lot of hands that handle different parts of it, and they don't talk to each other very well, is my experience this week that I'm living right now.
I was using that as an analogy to having a snake. I like the idea of snakes, but I just don't have one. What I really love this though, snake booth at a local farmer's market, laugh out loud. That's good. Like, okay, maybe it's not doable, but thinking in that way, I don't know why it wouldn't be doable.
Right.
It would be a great attraction. People are just milling about there. There's a market that I think you saw me at. I set up a booth for accounting.
Right.
For accounting at this local outdoor market during tax season. Like, hey, get your taxes done here. Hey, we're doing taxes. And we brought in some clients from that. I mean, people who aren't thinking about it, just milling about and getting used to having these creatures about.
Yep. I think that's a great idea and analogous to your tax booth services point. I don't think anybody sat down that night and was like, perfect, I got my receipts in the car, let's do my taxes now. No, they call you later.
Right.
At the farmer's market on a Saturday morning, I'm probably going to literally sell 0 snakes.
Right. Yeah.
But the follow-up phone calls would be mighty interesting. And we have a really, really, really good local culture of farmer's market right here in town. And it's a small enough town that everybody there is local, but it's a big enough town that it's a booming market. And I mean, to the point where Kelly and I have already been. I literally cannot do that market right now because of temperatures, but in the spring and summer, I actually think I would do that just as a hangout, just as a get the word out there, build. At the end of the day.
And those booths are cheap. I mean,
right.
It's $40-50 for the booth that I got. Look, and well worth it.
If somebody said, hey, does it make more sense to broadcast into a worldwide void where there's 32 people watching you at 7:30 in the morning, or imagine this, does it make sense to go to a booming farmer's market where all your customers live, or where all these people live within a 10-mile radius of you and your goods?
Yeah.
we know what we would go do, right? Yeah. So I think that's a fantastic idea too. Guys, we got to wrap up. I got a busy morning. Joe's got a life to live. You guys got to get to work. What a great show. When we're running over and still feeling invigorated on commentary, that means it's a great show. Thank you all for your interactions. Really, really quick announcements. Bob Vu will be on the Tuesday night show this week coming up, followed by Jersey Guys. And okay, here's the payoff. If you stuck with us this long, here's a little nugget, and I'm going to hang up real fast afterwards. Believe it or not, October 30th, the show nobody believed would happen. Chris Eaton's going to be on. The Fat Man himself will be on Proper Royals Live October 30th. That's a special Monday night episode with Leviathan Snakes, and we're going to talk the industry, the history of the industry, and the documentary that Stephen and Chris have been working on. So come hang out with that. And following that episode, we'll do the annual pairing party. It's time for pairings for breeding season. I got animals in stock. I just got my 4 clutches from Florida a come check out the LinkTree link down below. Morph Market. Joe, what are you going to do today, man? What are you going to get out there and do? You get the last word. Take us home.
I got to go to work. I got to do some networking at work. I got some things, but tonight I got a friend coming into town. We're going to spend the weekend together. I'm taking off work tomorrow. I'm super excited about it. We're going to go to Run Club tonight and stuff like that. So
that's cool. What are you going to tonight?
It's a running club.
Oh, a run club. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that running and cycling clubs are really just an excuse to give yourself a really good excuse to drink a lot of beer afterwards.
Well, it starts at and ends at a brewery.
My man, there we go. Have a blast. Have a great weekend. I suspect you'll be watching a little football tonight.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know who's playing either. Say hey to Chelsea.
Actually, baseball. Baseball tonight. My Phillies are in.
So boring. Well. 162 games. Can we do this in 30 games? I mean, for Pete's sake. 6
home runs last night from the Phils.
Great. One fantastic. I'm glad. Good. Go on, Phillies. All right, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you all Tuesday. Joe will see you next Thursday. And build your community. Get some people in. Let's go. See ya.